everyone. The topic of the month this month is building a sales culture in professional services. Everyone, is out there looking to try to build more sales. It's been a tough year. Looks like it's going to continue to be a tough year in many service sectors around the world. So sales and business development become increasingly important. It's not surprising that firms are sometimes struggle with the creation of a sales culture. Professional services firms are founded by very dynamic, heroic founders that either have a very deep discipline knowledge in the area of their specialty or expertise and are the chief salesperson, chief delivery person. So they create a very strong presence around sales, and it's often hard for them to delegate or create people around them that can take the lead around selling. When you look at the pillars of a professional services firm, you have leadership, client relationships, which is sales, marketing, business development, service delivery, actually delivering the service, talent management, and finance and operations. So the client relationships pillar is often the last one to develop because the reliance on the founder and the delegation of sales marketing responsibilities and the systemization of those don't ever happen. As working with one of our partners, a sales and business development assessment company, and they have assessed hundreds of thousands of salespeople, but more specifically thousands in the professional services space. So these would be people that are assigned to the business development function or are consultants in the business development function. And interestingly, some of the key competencies that are required for sales are quite low when you look at the prevalence of those competencies in a professional services firm. So here's some statistics for you. The consultative selling competency, that's the asking the right questions, having great client meetings, moving your sale forward. Only 13% of sellers assessed with this sales assessment instrument in professional services demonstrated that competency. The second is qualifying. That's, do we have a deal? What are the steps to close the deal? Who are the people you need to talk to? How are we positioned? Who are the competitors? The overall qualification. Only 20% of professional services firms, had demonstrated that competency in these assessments. And the final is reaching decision makers. So not just talking to the people that want to talk to you, but talk to other people, and going 3 up and 3 wide and broadening relationships. Only 42% of people assessed in the professional services industry can reach decision makers. And why does this happen? This happens because, often the initial hires and the firm is founded around delivery. And really good consultants are really good at business analysis. They do good analysis. They're, position themselves as a consultant, and they don't view necessarily business development as part of their responsibility, or it's not, identified as a priority. The second thing is on the consultative selling side, often the indoctrination of the consultant into the firm has a lot to do with consulting acumen and, asking tough questions and qualifying, potential opportunities hard is not part of their culture, right? So you have these founders, they're they're excellent at sales, and, you want to grow your firm. In order to grow your firm, you need to have a sales culture. What can you do about it? I guess first and foremost is there's lots of good instruments. We work with the Objective Management Group instrument around assessing sales competencies. So it'll provide a very good inventory of the competencies that exist in your consulting force and your sales force. Knowing what those are allows you to kind of develop, coaching, mentoring, and training that would further develop the sales force. Secondly, make the consultative level expectations include sales at every level or business development. A junior consultant can certainly participate in RFPs. They can be invited to sales meetings. Start to develop that knowledge of selling very early and make sure there's an expectation in your consulting levels that, around business development at each and every level. Related to this is involving all levels of the company in sales and sales cycles. So I work with a big engineering firm that, they'd get people into the company and then get them to 5 to 7 years in the company. When they're ready to take a leadership role, they had absolutely no sales acumen. So they started to introduce training and have very specific activities around introducing the sales and business development, so that when they got to the 5-year mark, when they're looking to, maybe run a small practice or something like that, they don't get the job and then, deer in the headlights, don't know what to do. Another good thing to keep track of is sales metrics. Make them visible, leads, opportunities, account management, progression in the sales cycle, good sales stages, all those things. Make them visible to everybody so that it starts to create a focus around sales process. Related to this is, if you have those metrics, create a cadence, have a sales and marketing meeting, or have a sales meeting once a week. Invite, your consultants to them, if, whether they're in a region or in a vertical or whatever. Have them discussing these metrics frequently, so they're not just captured and sitting on a portal somewhere, they're front and center in the business. And then the final thing that I would suggest, which I've seen with a lot of our clients, is consistently stress the importance of sales and business development, reward it, acknowledge, people's efforts in business development, so they can see and it's visible that it's an important part of the overall operation of the firm.